Now, the species of Mantis is actually not classed as a beginner, so it's classed as intermediate to an advanced. I'm not saying it's impossible for beginners to keep an orchid mantis or anything along the lines of advanced. I'm just saying that you definitely need to do a lot of research behind yourself to have that understanding of how to care for them properly. So your orchid mantis is more delicate than your typical beginner mantis species, saying like the hardier ones like the ghost mantis, giant Asian. Orchid mantis are a lot more sensitive to small mistakes. Problems with humidity, temperature can often lead to health issues or death. And from experience, beginners do often learn by trial and error, but orchids can't actually handle that. The species needs a warm, stable temperature between 25 and 30 degrees Celsius. You may need a heat source and thermostat depending on where you live, because fluctuations, say like in a cold room in winter, can stress them out and can cause health issues, and obviously that's something that you don't want. Now, the main important part, and mainly where everyone goes wrong, is their humidity. They need around 60 to 80%. But the main part is that they need good airflow to prevent mold and bacteria growth. And for new keepers, balancing ventilation and humidity can definitely be quite tricky. So low humidity can cause problems with molting, but high humidity without airflow can lead to fungus or respiratory issues. So that's why you actually really need to get the humidity part and the ventilation exactly right. As you can see, I've got a lot of moss in there, I've got a lot of leaves. All that will retain the humidity in the tank. I give it light mists every day, but I don't soak the substrate, so I only soak the substrate when it's actually kind of dry, especially not the top layer. You need to kind of dig in a little bit. What you don't want is water underneath your substrate. Eventually that will cause stagnant air, and that's something that you don't want. That is definitely a killer for mantis. So allowing your substrate to dry out every so often is really not a bad thing, and then you can give it a deep spray. Okay, so when it comes down to giving them food, orchid mantis tend to be a little bit picky, and they really only go for flying insects. That's not all of them, obviously, because bloom does eat dubia roaches every now and again, but I do know that some others are quite picky. So giving a variety of different insects to your mantis is always the best decision to do. Just try and stay away from crickets and soldier flies. Them ones aren't really good for your mantis. And when it comes to the feeders as well, some can actually carry bacteria that can actually harm your mantis. So making sure that your feeders are having a proper diet and making sure that they're healthy as well is super important. I usually tend to feed my feeders every 2 days because we have quite a big colony of each. And if you do mainly want to focus on just flies as the main diet, then you need to ensure that you're thinking of timing, because when you're getting flies delivered to you, they're already cocooned, so they're not ready to eat just yet. You need to give them a few days to hatch. So I do see why everyone absolutely loves the species, and I see why everyone wants to have one, especially as a beginner. But from what I've mentioned, a lot of stuff is not very beginner friendly. So I would advise you to go with a different mantis species. But if you are obedient enough and actually truly believe that you can do this and do the proper research and do the proper temps and stuff like that, then you have definitely got it down to a T.